الله أكبر
حي على الصلاة
الله أكبر الله أكبر
حي على الصلاة.
Islam family, once again, arise giving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the highest of praise and the highest of honors to his holy and divine prophet, Noble Ali. And I also extend those honors to the harbinger, the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, who did warn and stir up the nations. We'd like to give honors to the Moorish American Standard, the red flag with the green five-pointed star in the center, representing the highest principles known to man, which is love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And I also acknowledge the United Mercantile Trading Banner, also known as the American flag. I want to give honors to all Moorish Americans, both past, present, and future, who strive to promote this holy and divine movement by way of the prophet, holy instructions, and divine laws. And I also want to acknowledge all organizations who strive to promote the interests of all peoples of African and indigenous descent living in America. Islam? I want to give honors to Temple number 19, the Office of the Grand Governor and the Lieutenant Grand Governor, Sheik staff and the admin staff and the mighty M19s who keep the peace. And last but certainly not least, I want to give honors to you, the L's and Bays, and our visitors in the sacred groves, because a man honors man, he honors that Father God Allah. Islam? Once again, all praises are due to Allah for having us here on another holy day evening so that we may continue to build on things that make us better citizens so that we may reason together. Islam? How is everyone doing on this holy day evening? Sister right here, she answered immediately. She knew that all is well on Friday.
That's right.
I'm going to open up the ethers, or raise the ethers rather. I think I'm going to open up with chapter 2, the education of Mary and Elizabeth in Zone, Egypt. And I'll be reading from, in part, verses 11, or instructions 11 rather, I would say all the way down to 19. Well, actually, I'll be reading it all the way down to 25. Islam? And it reads, in the name of Allah, the beneficent, the most merciful, who are, or 10 rather, Elohim said to Mary and Elizabeth, you may esteem yourself thrice blessed, for you are chosen mothers of long-promised sons, who are ordained to lay a solid rock, a sure foundation stone, on which the temple of the perfect man shall rest, a temple that should never be destroyed. We measure times by cycle ages, and the gate to every age we deem a milestone in a journey of the race. An age is past, the gate unto another age flies open at the touch of time. This is the preparation age of soul, the kingdom of Emmanuel, Allah in man. And these, your sons, will be the first to tell the news and to teach the gospel of good will and peace on earth. A mighty work is theirs, for carnal men want not the light, they love the dark. And when the light shines in the dark, they comprehend it not. We call these sons revealers of the light, but they must have the light before they can reveal the light. And you must teach your sons and set their souls on fire with love and holy zeal, and make them conscious of their missions to the sons of men. Teach them that Allah and man are one, but through carnal thoughts and words and deeds, man tore himself away from Allah, debased himself. Teach that the holy breath will make them one again, restoring harmony and peace, that naught make them one but love, and that Allah so loved the world that he clothed his son in flesh, that man may comprehend. Islam? The only savior of the world is love, and Jesus, son of Mary, comes to manifest that love to men. Now love cannot manifest its way until its way has been prepared, and naught can rend the rock and bring down lofty hills and fill the valleys up and thus prepare the way but purity. But purity and life men do not comprehend, and so it too come in flesh. And you, Elizabeth, are blessed, because yours is purity made flesh, and he shall pave the way for love. This age will comprehend but little of the works of purity of love, but not a word is lost, for the book of Allah's remembrance registry is made of every thought and word and deed. Islam?
Islam.
And when the word is ready, and when the world is ready to receive, lo, Allah will send a messenger to open the book and copy from its sacred pages all the messages of purity and love. Islam, family?
Islam.
What I just read for you again is chapter 2, the education of Mary and Elizabeth in Zone, Egypt. And the significance that I want to emphasize, rather, or what I want to emphasize on, is that in these verses that I read, in these lessons that I read, we're talking about cycle ages. We're talking about a time in this lifetime, in this generation, where doors are going to open and close, where what we call epochs or checkpoints in our lives are going to open and they're going to close. A chapter is going to open while another one closes. What we're talking about right here specifically is that of the age of Emmanuel, of Allah and man, when the will of man and Allah is one. But before that can occur, purity and love must lead the way. And that purity and love is represented by John the Harbinger, or purity is represented by John the Harbinger, and the love is represented by Jesus. And we talk about how these sons are revealers of the light, teaching men that man and Allah are one, that the only Savior is love, and love comes from within. And the only way that you can achieve love is but by purity. And that purity is knowing thyself and thy Father God Allah. So, Elihu is teaching Mary and Elizabeth about their sons and what is yet to come. But then it talks about another time where man may not necessarily comprehend the words, the thoughts, the works, and the deeds of John the Harbinger and of Jesus the Son. However, the registry of Allah, the book of Allah, the word of Allah, that holy breath is eternal. It will never fade away. It would always be as of a flaming light, never a flickering light. But that time will come again. At this day and age, at this new era of time, we've received another spirit of purity and love. We received the Harbinger, Marcus Mosiah Garvey, and we received our holy and divine prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Both, again, in the spirits of John the Harbinger and Jesus. They have come to this generation and ones before that to bring the message once again that Allah and man are one. That the only Savior is love. And that when the will of man and the will of Allah is one, resurrection is a fact. That message came to us by way of our prophet Noble Drew Ali. Paved the way by the Harbinger, Marcus Mosiah Garvey, the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. These two brothers, spirits of Allah, they came to resurrect our people, to reintroduce the principles of unity. And this is the mindset that we should be taking into 2019. All of the issues, all of the inhibitions, all of the agents of separation and debasing ourselves from that of the word of Allah and the will of Allah, we have to leave that behind. Whatever issues that we think that we have with your brother or your sister, you should address them. And to be, as a matter of fact, you shouldn't wait until 2009 to do it.
That's right.
In my personal opinion, which offers no proof for truth, you should look to make amends to your brother or your sister or your family members or what have you tonight. When you leave this meeting, when you separate into the world. If not, the next day if you're sleepy or you're tired or you know somebody's went to bed. But yet and still make amends, because you don't want to carry that drama into 2019. You don't want to carry that yoke into 2019. We should be carrying the spirit of love. We should be carrying the spirit of unity. We should be carrying the spirit of overcoming whatever obstacles that we may encounter together. It's been far too long that we've been looking to do these things by ourselves. That we've been living unto ourselves. But man is not an island. He is bound by cords to every living thing.
That's right.
This is why certain things have not been working for us, because we have not taken the time to work together. Because we are so busy trying to be this loner, to be this lone wolf, to be this individual that can prove to who? No one but yourself that you can do this by yourself. But if you look through your lifetime, you will see that you have received nothing by yourself. And if anything, by the will of Allah, that is worked through your brother or your sister, that which you may or may not have been in favor of, or that you may have liked at the point. That supervisor or that manager that gave you that job, that's Allah. That HR representative or that person that helped you borrow the dollar or helped you get that loan, etc., etc., that was Allah. That was Allah moving through those people. And it's time that we accept it. You don't even have to call him Allah. You can call him the Most High. You can call him Yahweh.
That's right.
You can call him whatever you want, but recognize that we are connected. That we are one. And the world is waiting with us, specifically as Asiatics living in America and Moorish Americans, to unite genuinely. Because I can guarantee you that we will set this world right. But we have to believe. And we have to take that step after the belief, and we have to practice that faith. It's been far too long that we've been stepped on that one degree. We got to move up. We got to step it up.
That's right.
But it's only up to you. And this word goes past my ears as well. We have to be the change that we want to see in the world. We didn't say it was going to be easy. We never said it was going to be a cakewalk. But as the Quran of Muhammad says, how are you to call yourself of the faithful and not be tested? So, family, I wanted to just open up those ethers and get you into the mindset of what we'll be discussing. We'll be doing something a little bit different this evening. We're going to hear from our members, both the ones that are on post, the M19s, as well as those in the sacred groves. And then we'll hear our words from our Grand Sheik Rashid Ibn. And what we're going to talk about today is how our Prophet and the Moorish Science Temple of America, this Moorish Divine and National Movement, has changed our lives. And I want to say something just as a sidebar. As many times, I used to mince words, if you will, where I didn't want to say that this Moorish Divine and National Movement will change you, but yet improve you. But in all actuality, if things do not change, then where's the growth? When we talk about change, we're talking about growth. When we're talking about that seed that will become a full bloom, that is a change. That is what you call a metamorphosis. That is a transformation. So for anyone to think that just adding on being a member or being a sympathizer of the Moorish Science Temple of America is just that. No, we're looking to change your life. Because you will be that living example on how other lives can change. Because those out there in desolation, in the cares of the world, don't believe that situation can improve. That situation can change. That they can make a 180. They believe it will remain the same. They are content with this situation because they are not aware of anything else. But you, my brothers and sisters, have to go out there and literally show them the example of that change.
Word, Sheik.
Islam family?
Islam.
And I want to speak something to. I want to say something real quick before I yield the floor, specifically to our brothers. I had a discussion with a sister in passing earlier today, and she believed that we, as brothers, do not communicate.
Islam.
That we do not. I'll keep it blunt. We don't share our feelings.
Islam, Sheik.
That we don't connect with each other. But what was very interesting, I had to explain to her that, sister, that this is not a normal thing. What you may perceive as something that is normal, or that something that needs to work on, we in the Moorish Science Temple of America, we and other organizations that have an invested interest in Asiatics living in America and abroad that want the improvement, we practice that particular way of life.
Islam.
Because we want for our brothers what we want for ourselves.
That's right, Islam.
So we have to genuinely establish that brotherhood. When someone asks you, is all well, don't put your pride up front. Don't say all is well and in the back of your head, the rent needs to be paid. Car note. You about one step away from losing your job.
Come on now.
Or one step away from being evicted from your apartment. Talk to your brother.
That's right.
We may not necessarily be able to assist right then and there monetarily, but we may be able to assist you along the way.
That's right.
That's another thing that we have to get out of our mind. What do we really want? Do we want freedom? Do we want love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice? Or do we just want another stimulus check? Do we want freedom to educate our children, to have our own jobs and to employ our own, to have better communities, to genuinely, to wholeheartedly be a nation, to be a nation state? Or do we just want a monetary solution for our socio-economic woes? What do we really want? Because depending on what we really want will determine how we're going to interact with each other, how we're going to interact with our circle, how we're going to interact outside of our circle moving forward. Being in the Moorish Science Temple of America means that you are spending every waking moment for the uplifting of fallen humanity.
Islam, Sheik.
And charity starts at home. So think about that when you wake up in the morning and when you go to rest at night. What have I done to uplift fallen humanity? What have I done to uplift myself? Have I said any kind words to my brother and sisters? And not to say that you're perfect. We're not talking about you being perfect. We're talking about you striving for perfection, for that deific life. Is that what we're striving for? Or are we just operating on that sluggish will? We have to change that mindset, people. Our minds, our conditions will change when our psychology changes.
That's right.
And we all know that. But we just have to continue to push forward. It's not going to happen overnight. What happened to us was a process. So it takes another process for us to get out of that situation. Islam?
Islam, Sheik.
Usually, I tell the age-old story on how I met this noble brother and our lieutenant, Grand Governor, Grand Sheik, Assistant Grand Sheik. But I'm going to shift the gears for a minute, and I'm going to talk about something more present. And our good brother Akil Kareem Bey touched on something that I want to add on to on Camelback. And it's just one instruction. Well, actually, I'll read 29 and 30 from chapter 35. It says, "O fear Allah, therefore, all the days of thy life, and walk in the paths which he hath opened before thee. Let prudence admonish thee, let temperance restrain, let justice guide thy hand, benevolence warm thy heart, and gratitude to heaven inspire thee with devotion. These shall give thee happiness in thy present state, and bring thee to the mansions of eternal felicity in the paradise of Allah." And then Instruction 30 says, this is the true economy of life. Now one of the things that I've learned about our prophet Noble Drew Ali is that not a word was lost. So when he said economy, I looked that up. Because he said that, he said, he gives us this, the reason why we say instructions is because they're just that. He gave us, and I'm going to read it again just so we know that these are instructions. Teach it to the wise for thine own improvement. Teach it for the ignorant for thine own improvement. Teach it to the wise for thine own understanding. But it says, fear Allah therefore. That's the first instruction. Well, that's part of the instruction. All the days of our life. Doesn't mean tremble, but it means revere. Revere Allah. Revere the Creator. Contemplate thy frame. How are you born? That's part of knowing thyself and thy Father God Allah. You know, to know Allah is to know who you are. To know that you are a spirit and a part of Allah. To know that you are not Negro, black, and colored. To know that you are not these chairs that you're sitting on, but yet you are a human being. You are man. That is what our prophet returned to us. In part, the fact that we are a living, breathing being. We are not property to belong to someone else. That's essentially what our prophet returned to us. And then he taught us how to operate outside of the mentality that was given to us for the past 400 plus years. By our own accord. Because this wouldn't have happened unless if we hadn't debased ourselves. We hadn't separated ourselves. Become an agent of the devil. Devil means to debase, to go outside of. Then we wouldn't have been in this situation. Because when you stray away from that thing that holds you together, you're gonna chase after the things that you know nothing of. So it says, fear Allah therefore all the days of thy life. Not just holy day, not just Sunday school, not just when you're in trouble and the rent need to be paid. All the days of their life. So we need to do that tomorrow and the next day and so on and so forth. And walk in the paths which he hath opened before thee. See, we have this thing in the Greek of Muhammad, this brother right here, called the Sirata Mustaqim. And that is the righteous path, the pure path. That path is opened. That path was left to us to follow by way of our master, Noble Drew Ali. The path of Allah was dredged by our prophet, Noble Drew Ali. So that is how we journey into that destination which is not uncertain or unknown. We all know where we want to be at the end of this road, at the end of this plight that we have as Moorish Americans. And we have the path to go there. But knowing us, just like we do 185 and the 285, we want to stray off the path, we want to take a detour, we want to go see this and that, you know. But instead, we should stay on the path. So our prophet instructs us to fear Allah all the days of our life and walk in the paths in which he has opened before thee. These are open. These are not rough paths. Or these are not hard paths to follow, rather. And it says, let prudence admonish thee, let temperance restrain, let justice guide thy hand. What does that mean? Especially with justice, because that's one of our principles. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Justice, as we said last Holy Day meeting, is basically what you give, or what you, how do I want to say it? Let me get my thoughts together. You get out what you put in.
Islam.
Justice is not just revenge for a wrongdoing. Justice is the process in which you, on this day, when you decide to stay on the path of Allah, that all of these things will add up, getting your ducks in a row. See, one of the things that trouble us as Moorish Americans and even as Asiatics living in America is inconstancy. And so when we are on this path or this habit of inconstancy, not doing things the same way on and over again, if we know that fasting or being good to your brother or sister is a good thing, and we skip a day, and then after we skip a day, we skip 2 days, and after we skip a day, we skip 3 days, and so on and so forth, that's a habit. And then we wonder why we don't receive the blessings that we are destined to achieve.
It's not true.
That's a problem. And that's because there's something in our minds that doesn't want to trace ourselves back to our forefathers. Let justice guide thy hand. We have, if you look at our divine constitution and bylaws, we have this hand press. That's a representation of a cord. We good, brother. And as I mentioned earlier, we are bound by cords to every living thing. So if I press your hand, brother, that's a semblance of me. That's me raising you up, and that's the symbol of unity, of us working together. All right. So not only am I just guiding thy hand, but I'm guiding this justice, and I'm passing the blessing and being righteous on to you just by pressing your hand, giving you an example of how I live, so that you may comprehend and understand. Then, with that, gratitude to heaven that inspire thee with devotion. And as our good brother said, with loyalty. These shall give thee happiness in thy present state. We all want to be happy. Raise your hand if you don't want to be happy. All of us want to be happy. And we have the keys to our happiness.
That's right.
In thy present state. Seek ye first. Well, that will be done on earth as it is in heaven. So we don't have to wait until we veil the form and go into paradise, into the heavens, and meet up with Allah. We can reach these things right now. But again, it's your mindset. If we think we can't achieve these things until we veil the form, until we pass away, then that's the issue. Because that is, what are we teaching our children? See, not only do we have to get our minds right for ourselves, but we have to get our minds right for our legacy, for our children, for those that we leave behind. We can't just leave behind with them nothing. We can't leave behind with them dust. So, these shall give thee happiness in thy present state, and bring thee to the mansions of eternal felicity in the paradise of Allah. That will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all the rest will be granted unto thee. And then he said, this is the true economy of life. Now, what is economy? Economy, if we go from the etymology of the word, household management.
That's right.
All right? Thrift, manager, steward, abode, dwelling. So, when we talk about, and I'll just go for the sake of argument to the Merriam-Webster definition as well. The wealth and the resources of a country, region, especially in terms of the production and consumption of goods and services. All right? So in other words, this is how you manage your human life. This is how you achieve happiness. So when we're talking about the true economy, we're talking about the management of the affairs of your life, of you and your circle. Believe it or not, everything that you do doesn't affect just you. It affects me. It affects the brother behind you. It affects the brother that's in the camera, the sister that's beside you, Grand Sheik, so on and so forth, and vice versa. See, this is the thing that we have failed to. We have to remind ourselves constantly. As most of the brothers, one of the themes that I've gotten was the concept of unity, and these brothers are exactly on point. The mindset of the individual has to be removed going into 2019. Has to be removed, period. Point blank. Because if we continue to think about that, then thinking that we don't affect each other will in turn affect each other for the worse. So, in closing, what have I learned this past year in the Moorish Science Temple of America? I've learned that the true economy of life, the true management of life, is the preservation of my principles: love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And demonstrating those principles to positively affect my brothers and my sisters outside my own circumference. Does that make sense what I'm saying? It's very important that we understand, if anything else, that we are descendants of Africans and indigenous peoples and born in America. Our prophet taught that to us simply. This is nothing that is outside of our teachings. There is no excuse why we can't unite with each other within the temple, within the sacred groves. Charity starts at home. So think about how is it that you're uniting, just as the brother Raphael said, how are you in uniting with your own body? Are you eating right? Are you sleeping right? Are you working towards what your goal is? Is your goal to work for someone else? Is to build an empire for someone else? That's another mindset that we need to get out of. Whose empire are we supporting? Whose empire are we building? Now, don't get me wrong. Everybody has to have a job, a job. Everybody needs it, but that should be only used as a platform or as a launch pad to learn your own and to establish your own. Don't be in that vicious cycle of developing an empire for someone else, because they're not developing an empire for you. Not at all. There is no excuse. Once we develop the unity within ourselves, then we should be implementing those same principles amongst each other. We all want to have a cake. We all want this big grandiose cake. But when Allah gives you the baking powder, gives you the butter, gives you the stove, gives you the milk and the eggs. Some of us use bananas instead of eggs. We say, well, this ain't the cake. But He gave you the tools to put it together yourself. Faith without good works is dead.
That's not true.
This institution is not going to build itself. We've tried it.
Doesn't work.
It doesn't work at all. We need a body.
That's right.
Let's see if you can walk without your legs. What is your mind going to control if your legs don't move? These are members.
That's right.
Thus, we need members.
That's right.
For the body to move. Islam.
Wow.
And once we get this body to move, maybe we can go into another body. Maybe we can go into another temple. But it takes time. It takes devotion. It takes loyalty. It takes all these things that just were mentioned in chapter 35 in religion. And religion, as our Grand Sheik has told us, is to bind back again to the ways of your forefathers, to the ways of Allah. It's that simple, but it's not just that simple. Islam? So, at this time, do we have any more comments, any more testimonies about this divine and national movement, this wonderful, this beautiful divine and national movement by way of our holy and divine prophet, Noble Drew Ali? All praise is due to Allah for granting us, for giving us the spirit of love and redemption made manifest. All right? I want to talk about these two other brothers right here before I yield the floor. When I said, enlightenment, enlightenment is this brother's degree right here. Knowing that you are more than just this form. One of the things that he talks about is that why did we suffer? We suffer because we only think of ourselves. That is how we debase ourselves. There's nothing wrong with wanting a car. But I should be thinking not just that I want a car, but I should want a car for this brother. I should want a car for this brother. I should want a car for this brother. But if I just want a car for myself, that's going to cause suffering, because that means that I may have to step on toes of these brothers just to get that car. That's not conducive to building a nation. That's not even conducive to building a community. So, but when you're enlightened, that means to expand. What does light do? Light expands and it bounces off of everything, giving luminance to it. See how that sister, her face is radiated?
Praise God.
That's because the light is shining. It's bouncing off of everything.
Right.
Right? So that was the enlightenment. Then we got this brother right here, resurrection and redemption. There's no failure for the human souls. All right? We asked in the Moorish Science, we often ask in the Moorish Science Temple of America that we're Muslims, yes? Yes. All right. We have the Quran, yes? Yes, we do. So why is it that you're teaching Jesus? Well, how else are you going to learn how to raise yourself from the state of death? Because he did it. He resurrected himself. Just saying, boy. All praises are due to Allah.
Praise Allah.
All right.
Allahu Akbar.
حي على الصلاة
Allahu Akbar.